The ink wasn't even dry when Jordan realized what had happened. He stared at the paper, official letterhead, gold seal, perfect formatting. It was signed by Gregory Rains, CEO of Rains Legacy Holdings, his father. Effective immediately, Jordan Rains is removed from all executive responsibilities and family trust entitlements. And just below that, in smaller text, but sharper than any knife, due to gross misconduct and breach of fiduciary responsibility. Jordan's hand trembled. He hadn't committed fraud. He hadn't laundered a cent. He hadn't touched the charity account. But someone had. And they'd made sure the blame landed squarely on him. Just 3 days earlier, he had been the crown prince of the Rains real estate dynasty, a multi-billion-dollar empire built over 3 generations of Southern charm, boardroom ruthlessness, and political donations. Everyone said Jordan was the future of the firm. Harvard MBA, urban redevelopment visionary, the one who cared about community investment, not just returns. But someone else wanted the crown. Someone who had worn the Rains name with jealousy and entitlement since birth. Travis. Jordan's older half-brother. Same father, different mothers, different expectations, different everything. Travis was old money without ambition. He loved the lifestyle, not the legacy. But he had something Jordan didn't: proximity to Gregory. And he had waited for his moment. It came when Jordan's West Side housing project got too much attention. When journalists began asking why Rains Holdings had never invested in black communities until Jordan did. When political donors began requesting Jordan at galas instead of Travis. That's when the money disappeared. And that's when Travis struck. Jordan had walked into the boardroom that morning expecting a routine quarterly presentation. Instead, he had been ambushed with a full audit report. $1.2 million unaccounted for in the 812 housing fund. Gregory didn't look at him, didn't speak to him, just slid the envelope across the table. Travis watched from the corner, silent, arms crossed, smiling with his eyes. Jordan had tried to defend himself. "Dad, someone's setting me up. This isn't even my signature on the transfers." But it didn't matter. The press release had already gone out. His office had already been cleared. The company car already reassigned. By the afternoon, his bank cards were frozen, his family trust account locked, his email shut down. And the worst part? His mother, Claudine, hadn't called. He stood outside the Rains building now, a monolithic glass tower downtown, his name etched into the stone, the one he helped redesign 2 years ago, and realized he couldn't even get inside anymore. His security badge blinked red at the gate. People passed him like he was a stranger, like he never belonged. The betrayal wasn't just professional. It was blood deep. When his phone finally buzzed, he grabbed it like a lifeline. One message. From his mother. "I warned you not to challenge Travis. Come home when you're ready to stop being a martyr." He stood frozen on the sidewalk. Not even rage, not even grief. Just hollow. That night, Jordan slept in his friend Malik's spare room in East Atlanta. The sun over East Atlanta was a little harsher, less filtered, more honest. Jordan walked down Auburn Avenue in sneakers and a borrowed hoodie, unnoticed by the people who once cheered his speeches at fundraisers, who read about him in Forbes, who believed he would be the one to clean up the game. Now, he was back to where it started, back where he still had people. Malik met him outside the rec center. "Damn, Harvard," he said, offering a fist bump. "You really back down here for real?" Jordan smirked faintly. "Guess I got evicted from Olympus." Malik looked him up and down. "Then welcome to Earth." Inside the center, nothing had changed. The smell of gym shoes and fried chicken from Mrs. Nell's lunch table. The sound of basketballs pounding against the floor like war drums. The whiteboard still had Jordan's name on it from the youth finance class he used to teach every Saturday. Only now, someone had written next to it, "Traitor." "You see what they did to me?" Jordan asked. Malik nodded. "Everyone saw, man. Whole city watching. Half believe it, half don't." Jordan sat at the edge of the court. "I didn't take that money. Travis did. He set me up." Malik nodded again. "Don't matter." Jordan blinked. "What?" Malik leaned in. "Out here, it's not about what you did or didn't do. It's about what you're gonna do next." That hit deeper than anything his lawyers said. Because while his family burned bridges and marble towers, the community still had fires worth building. Over the next week, Jordan made moves. Quiet ones. He used back channels to get access to the original audit reports. He reviewed bank logs. He called up people Travis thought he'd silenced. And most of all, he started walking the properties again. The West Side Project. The ones he'd proposed before they cut him out. The land was still there, but the redevelopment plan? Shelved. Raines Holdings had paused the project, claimed due diligence delays. But Jordan knew better. They didn't care about those families. They never did. He did. One night at the rec center, Malik brought a folder. Inside, a whistleblower report from a former Raines financial advisor who wanted to stay anonymous. It contained emails, real ones, between Travis and Gregory's personal lawyer. Transfers, shell companies, fraud disguised as philanthropic reinvestment. Jordan's name had been forged. Jordan sat silent for a long time. Then he whispered, This is the smoking gun." Malik nodded. "Then load it." But Jordan knew it wouldn't be that easy. The Raines family didn't go down with scandals. They buried them. They owned the papers. They bought the silence. But what they didn't own, the streets. So Jordan got to work. He called back every mentee, every community leader, every journalist who still had integrity. He told them everything, not just about Travis, about the system. How family dynasties used black neighborhoods as PR cover. How they built empires off land stolen through legal tricks and slick zoning. And for the first time, they listened. One night at a town hall in front of 300 people, not with a microphone, with a folded piece of paper and a steady voice. "They took everything from me, but they forgot what they couldn't take, the truth. I don't need my last name. I don't need their money. I just need this city to remember who's really been building it." They stood and clapped, not because he was perfect, but because he was theirs. By the end of the month, a new movement had formed. Hashtag Rain's Reckoning was trending. Protesters. Jordan never expected to hear from his father again. Not after the way Gregory had looked through him in that boardroom. Not like a son, not even like a stranger, but like a liability. But there it was, an envelope. No return address, just his name written in block letters, hand-delivered to Malik's front steps. Inside, a single sheet of stationery, handwritten, neat, heavy ink. Jordan, I've made mistakes. I trusted the wrong son. I believed what I wanted to believe. You're still mine. If you want to talk, come home. Dad. Malik raised an eyebrow. You really gonna respond to that after what they pulled? Jordan stared at the letter, his jaw clenched. He knew Malik. He knew Travis forged the transfers. He just didn't care. Until now. Malik nodded. So what's the move? Jordan folded the letter slowly. I'm going back, but not for peace. He arrived at the Rains estate 2 nights later. Same iron gates, same marble drive, same polished lies. Gregory met him on the porch. Older, slower, face sunken beneath the weight of public disgrace. I had to fire 2 PR firms just to keep your name out of the current headlines, he said, like it was a compliment. Jordan stepped inside without smiling. You called me here. Say what you need to say. In the study, Gregory poured 2 whiskeys, but Jordan didn't touch his. I know what Travis did. He played me, played the board, played you. Jordan cut in. He ruined me. Gregory exhaled, nodding. And I let it happen because you were a threat, not to the business, to the name. You were building something I couldn't control. Silence stretched between them. Now the name means nothing, Jordan said. You think I don't know that? Gregory turned to the family portrait above the fireplace, the one Jordan used to look up to as a kid. I see what you're doing in the community, the protests, the expose. You could burn us to the ground. Jordan didn't flinch. Maybe I still will. Gregory's eyes didn't leave the fire. Or you could take it back, all of it. Jordan blinked. What are you saying? I'll reinstate your name, publicly. I'll step down, make you CEO. Why? Gregory swallowed hard. Because legacy doesn't belong to the loudest. It belongs to the last one standing. And despite everything we did to you, you're still standing. Jordan sat back. He wasn't expecting this. Power handed back so easily? There had to be a catch. Where's Travis? Jordan asked. Gregory's jaw tightened. He's gone. Quiet exile. Took a settlement, left the country. Jordan smirked bitterly. So he gets a golden parachute and I get a chair at the table he poisoned? Gregory raised a hand. I get that, but you're smarter than that. Build your own legacy. Rewrite ours. Jordan leaned forward. You're not giving me a gift. You're surrendering because you have no choice. Gregory didn't argue. Then take it. Jordan stood up, walked to the door, paused. You want forgiveness. Gregory nodded. I want my son back. Jordan looked him dead in the eyes. Forgiveness doesn't mean forgetting. It means I don't need to destroy you to win. He left without another word. The next day, headlines hit the city. Jordan Rains named CEO of Rains Legacy Holdings, promises an era of integrity. But behind the headlines, something bigger was shifting. Because Jordan wasn't just back in the chair. He was back with purpose. He changed the bylaws, dismantled the trust system, opened the books, fired 3 board members with ties to illegal zoning deals, donated half of his personal shares to a new community reinvestment fund, one led by residents, not executives. The old guard called it betrayal. The people called it restoration. That week, he walked into the same boardroom where they'd once exiled him. But this time, the office felt different now. Same penthouse view of Atlanta, same mahogany table, same engraved Reigns logo in the glass wall behind the chair. But the energy was different. Because Jordan didn't just occupy the corner office now. He owned the silence in every boardroom meeting. Every eye was on him, some watching with fear, others with reluctant awe, a few with grudging respect. He had cleaned house, erased corruption, returned land stolen through tax scams to families who had lost everything. But still, he felt the weight of unfinished business, because one ghost hadn't been exorcised: Travis. Jordan stared at the last untouched drawer in the CEO desk. It had a passcode, one only his father had ever known. He cracked it in 3 guesses. Inside, a silver USB drive, labeled only Crescent files. He clicked it into his laptop. Dozens of folders. Shell Corps in Panama, property titles funneled through nonprofits, documents proving Reigns Holdings had bought out city officials for zoning rights, receipts from a secret equity stake in a predatory loan company under Travis's name, and one PDF, Coleman Cemetery Project, confidential. Jordan blinked hard. That wasn't just any project. That was the sacred black cemetery on the south side, the one the community had rallied to preserve, the one Travis had insisted the company drop after public pressure. Only, they never did. They just moved it to a shell firm and bought the land anyway. Jordan sat back in his chair. His heartbeat felt like thunder in his chest. All the outreach, all the promises, all the lies, and still, Travis had his hand in the soil. That night, Jordan drove to the south side alone. No bodyguards, no drivers, just him. He parked in the dark near the cemetery gate, where faded murals and rusted chains guarded the memory of the dead. A woman, named Miss Viola, stood at the gate. She ran the community watch, had known Jordan since he was in high school. She looked at him with narrowed eyes. "We heard your name on the news again." "This time not for the wrong reasons," he said gently. "Doesn't mean we trust it." She opened the gate slowly. "Show us different." So he did. The next morning, he held a press conference at the cemetery. He pulled up the Crescent files on screen. He named every shell company. He exposed every secret deal tied to Travis. He canceled the land acquisition and legally transferred the ownership of the entire site to the Southside Heritage Council. In front of a crowd of reporters and elders, he said, "You don't honor the living by disrespecting the dead. My family forgot that. I won't." That day, the city remembered who Jordan really was. Not a prince, not a prodigal, not a corporate puppet, but a descendant who chose his people over his privilege. And yet, in the shadow of victory, came a whisper, a call. "Blocked ID." He answered. A familiar voice, low, arrogant, tired. "Nice stunt with the cemetery," Travis said. Jordan stayed silent. "You think this is over? I built this empire too." "No," Jordan said coldly. "You bled it. I rebuilt it." A pause. "Watch your back, little brother." Click. Jordan stared at the phone. Not with fear, with clarity. Travis was still out there, still holding on to power through fear. But Jordan had learned something Travis never would. Fear fades. Truth doesn't. The next morning, the storm came in the form of an envelope, delivered by hand, no return address, sealed in black wax with the Rains family crest, an oak tree with 3 roots. Jordan recognized it instantly. The family crest hadn't been used since his grandfather's funeral. He slid it open with a letter opener. Inside was a single sheet of thick parchment, legal language, notarized. Dated March 4, 2019. That was the week his grandfather, Harold Rains, passed away. But what stopped Jordan's breath was the title, Addendum to the Last Will and Testament of Harold Rains, and the first line, to be opened only upon the public disgrace of the Rains bloodline. Jordan read the contents twice. It wasn't long, but it changed everything. Harold had suspected the family would fall. He wrote the letter as a warning and as a map. The addendum named Jordan, not Travis, not Gregory, as the true successor to the Rains legacy. Jordan has the moral spine this family lacks. If our name ever becomes poison, he must be the one to cleanse it. Even more shocking, it revealed the existence of a trust fund hidden from the rest of the family. An off-ledger account designed for community reparations, set up secretly by Harold after discovering the family's early wealth was built on exploitative land seizures during Jim Crow. The amount? Over $80 million, and no one else had ever known. Because Harold didn't trust his son, didn't trust his firstborn grandson, only Jordan. There was a second envelope inside, this one with keys and a hand-scrawled address in Savannah. Jordan took a breath. The old man had always been cryptic, but never wrong. He packed a duffel bag and left that night. The house in Savannah was nothing like the Rains estate. It was old, worn, humble, hidden behind moss-covered trees and time. Inside, dust hung in the air like ghosts. But in the back bedroom, inside a safe that matched the key, Jordan found it. A ledger, handwritten, page after page, names, properties, dates of seizures, signatures from families, titles forged, and at the back, a list of intended reparations, addresses, dollar amounts, notes in Harold's hand, to be returned, to be returned, to be returned. Jordan sat for hours reading names he'd never heard, and some he had, because some of the families he had already helped were on this list. The man had begun something powerful, but he never got to finish it. Until now. Back in Atlanta, Jordan called a press conference. He didn't go through PR. He didn't call lawyers. He stood on the steps of the very courthouse where the Rains family had once bought judges, and he read the will, line for line, to the world. Then he did something no one expected. He announced the immediate formation of the Harold Rains Reparations Initiative, a fund fully controlled by independent community boards, overseen by financial officers with no ties to Rains Holdings, with the full $80 million transferred under public audit. The headlines exploded. Disgraced dynasty redeems itself with reparations fund. Jordan Rains honors grandfather's secret will, returns millions. From betrayal to redemption. A bloodline rebuilt. But not everyone was happy. That night, Travis called again. Jordan let it go to voicemail. The message was venom. You think you fixed this? You think the world forgives you now? You think they forget what you were before? This legacy doesn't belong to you, little brother. It never did. It never will. Jordan stared at the blinking light, then deleted the message. Because he didn't need Travis's approval. He didn't need anyone's. He had his grandfather's truth. He had the city behind him. And he had his name, clean, hard-earned, and unbought. Later that night, he stood alone. The new tower was rising. Steel bones, glass skin, a rooftop garden. It sat on the edge of the west side, where Jordan's original project had been bulldozed by scandal and corruption. Now it was coming back, not as a monument to Rain's holdings, but as a gift to the people who built the city. Jordan stood at the construction site in boots and a hard hat. Beside him, Malik nodded in approval. "You really doing this?" Jordan didn't look away from the rising frame. Not just doing it, naming it. Let me guess. The Rain Center? Jordan smiled quietly. No. The Coleman Justice Center. After the cemetery, they tried to erase. After the families, they tried to silence. Malik let out a low whistle. That's going to sting the old money crowd. Good, Jordan said. The building would house a public legal clinic, a co-op for black-owned startups, an art gallery curated by local students, a museum room featuring the full Crescent Files archive, and a rooftop space open to all for free. No events, no exclusive clubs, no velvet ropes, no gated access. Just a living space for truth. A month later, at the grand opening, Jordan took the podium. Crowds filled the square. Families, students, elders, city leaders. He didn't bring notes. He didn't need them. This city made me, and then it almost broke me. Not because I lost money, but because I almost lost faith. In blood, in family, in the lie that legacy is something we inherit instead of something we earn. He paused. The crowd was silent. He continued. My last name got me in the door, but the truth is what kept me in the fight. This center, this land, this moment doesn't belong to the Rains family. It belongs to the people who stayed long after the cameras left. He raised his hand toward the building. From this day forward, the only names on the wall will be the names of those we almost forgot. But not anymore. The applause didn't just erupt. It rose like thunder. Later that night, Jordan sat alone on the rooftop. The Atlanta skyline blinked in front of him. His phone buzzed. One message, from an unknown number. It read, You did it. You broke the cycle. The name Rains finally means something again. No signature. But Jordan knew the writing. His mother, Claudine. After all these years, silence finally broke. He didn't reply. He just smiled. Because there was nothing left to prove. The comeback was complete. But more importantly, the people had won. Downstairs, a mural stretched across the building's main wall. Drawn by neighborhood artists, it showed Jordan in a hoodie, standing between two crumbling pillars marked Bloodline and Power. Behind him, rising from the rubble, were hundreds of people, hands linked, backs upright, building something new. At the top, a single sentence painted in gold. A name is only as strong as the people who say it with pride.